Live each and every day, love and live your way. Do your very best, learn and lead today. Be the best you can, it's your life. Take a stand, so live your best life. Live your best life. Come on and live your best life. With Dr. Julia Royston. I'm Dr. Julia Royston. So glad you joined us for another edition of Live Your Best Life. For I've come that you might have life and might have that life to the full, overflowing abundantly. Oh my goodness, that's our job, to live that abundant life. So each and every episode and broadcast, I seek to bring wonderful people to you to inspire, empower, instruct, and kind of kick you into gear so that you can live not my life, your best life. And I'm super excited to have with me today Ms. Valerie Lewis Coleman. She's going to introduce herself, tell us what she does, and make sure she tells us how to follow her on social media and how to visit her website so that we can keep up with all her activities. And when I say all, it's a lot. All her activities and all the events she has going. Introduce yourself, Ms. Valerie.
Well, thank you, Julia. Like she said, I'm Valerie J. Lewis Coleman, and what I do is serve professional speakers and experts to magnify and monetize their message by publishing quality books. And that has a wide range of options and offerings, including books that serve authors, teaching them how to write and publish. I also do live events, workshops, conferences. I did my first retreat last year, Free Your Mind and the Words Will Follow, Writer's Retreat. I'm doing a big book event in Dayton. I've been doing it since 2004, but it's growing every year. So this is going to be the Power Pen of the Writer Book Fest in Dayton, Ohio. I'll be doing that in conjunction with another Valerie and the Indulge event. So I'm excited about that opportunity. We're planning on having over 1,000 people there. We've made it a 2-day event this year. So vendors and guests will have an opportunity to sell and connect on Friday and Saturday.
Good.
And then, of course, I publish books for clients. I mentor them for some, and then I publish books for others. And then, of course, we're going to talk today about my children's book, Oh, Yay! The Things I Can Be When I See Me. Yay! Yes, which is part of your book fair. And all of my social media handle is Pen of the Writer, which comes from the scripture Judges 5:14, talks about the different tribes of the children of Israel who are fighting against the Philistines. And the last one was the tribe of Zebulun, who fought with the pen of the writer. Now, of course, they wouldn't fight with ink pens, fighting 9-foot giants with ink pens.
No.
But when I went back and looked at the original Hebrew meaning, they were actually using sticks to do hand-to-hand combat with the enemy. So I equate that to using my ink pen to do hand-to-hand combat with the enemy.
Come on,
putting out books that are inspiring, encouraging, and give people insight into how to live a better life. That's all about me. So everything is Pen of the Writer.
Pen of the Writer, including the website is?
Yep, penofthewriter.com.
All right, penofthewriter.com. Okay, so you can tell by her introduction that we have a lot in common. We both write, we publish, we teach other people how to write, but I want to know how you started writing. What was your first endeavor into writing?
Well, years ago, my mom had us, my sibling, my sister, and some cousins do a time capsule. And in that time capsule, I said that I wanted to write a book. I don't remember saying that, but if mama said it, it is so. Okay? So I said I wanted to write a book. My very first book, which was never published, was a math book, a trigonometry calculus book for a young man in high school. I know, I'm so nerdy. I love math.
Oh, I love it.
He was failing his math class in high school, and I was a college co-op. He was failing math. And I was like, oh, I could help you with that. So I wrote a book to help him pass the class. He passed the class and was able to graduate. And I never published the book, but that was my first writing.
Keep that thing out. You got some babies out there who is dying with the trigonometry.
I bet I got it somewhere too, because I am a low-key hoarder. So I have it somewhere. I just have to find it. And then my first published book, however, was towards my engineering degree. We had to write a thesis to graduate. So that was my first published book, but it was a hardbound. I got a copy, and my boss got a copy, and then they put a copy in the school library. Wonderful. So that was it for that. My first mass publication type book was Blended Families and Anthology, which I did in 2006 to help people who were in step families navigate those murky waters of how do you discipline and how do you rear a non-biological child. Because when I married my husband, he had 3 kids. I had 2, not the Brady Bunch.
No,
and it was either write the book or go to jail.
Say almost. You just needed one more and you'd be in the Brady Bunch.
Almost went to jail.
No.
Well, thank God, because it really, the jail would have actually more so been, because I told God, I was like, God, I'm trying to be all spiritual. That man and them kids you gave me, like Adam was like, that woman you gave me, trying to pass the blame. And I had responsibility that I wasn't taking ownership for.
Yeah.
And not that I was being mean or mistreating the child, but I didn't understand that she was dealing with a lot of unresolved issues from her parents' divorce.
Of course.
She was hurt. She wanted them together.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that she didn't like me, but how can I like you and my mom? I feel like I'm being
betraying your mother. It's like I'm going against my mama. That's Absolutely. My blood. And oh wow.
Okay, and I didn't understand that.
Hold on, give me that title again. Give me the title.
Blended Families and Anthology. It's been an Amazon #1 bestseller in step family category. And I mean, literally, what I realized after putting the book together, because what I was going to do was leave my husband. I said I had enough. 12 years. I beat the national average. I'm good. Thank you. Checking out of this one.
Oh my Lord.
I get another one. And I was literally on leaving. I was in my driveway, in my car, with the car running, about to leave. And I called a friend. And I thank God for people he puts in your life who will encourage you and correct you when you're wrong.
Yes.
So I called her. Her name is Buffy. And I said, Buffy, look, I'm done. I'm done with this, these kids, that man, all this mess, the ex-wife. I don't have to put up with this.
Right.
And she said, oh, Sister Val, you'll be okay. She's very soft-spoken. You'll be okay. Don't worry about it. I said, you must think I'm playing. I read the car engine. She said, oh, you, Father, in the name of Jesus, we call right now. I know it. And so but it shifted. Her prayer was so powerful and spoke so clearly to my heart, because she was a stepmom or is a stepmom too. But her relationship dynamic is totally different. And it wasn't because of the people. It was because how she allowed God to work through her. I was so hurt and mad that they were being disrespectful that I wasn't looking at their own hurt.
Yes.
And she was able to see through all that. And she loved on them until they loved back. And it's a great relationship.
Yes.
So she prayed me right on through that. I went right on back in the house, went right up into my closet and hit the floor. My husband was like, what's wrong with you? I said, just don't talk to me right. I got to talk to Jesus. And now we just celebrated 25 years. So he worked it out. Yes, Lord.
You have blessed the people right there. I'm trying to tell you, you have blessed the people, because there's a lot of blended families, different kind of families, and that's a whole nother show. That family show, I'll have you back on, because that's a whole nother dynamic.
It is.
And that is a dynamic that we really need, and not to mention we need somebody to represent the biracial children who really feel lost. Like they don't seem to fit in either culture. And then let's not even talk about the hair issue. And so there's so many dynamics that, that's really, to me, another book, Fight for Your Family, because
absolutely,
really, if we get down in our feelings and we get down in our emotions, we will wreck something that God really wants to bless us with. So congratulations on that 25 years.
Thank you.
You've come a long way, baby. You have a testimony to bless somebody else. So,
absolutely.
Okay, so we both have, I got one more thing and then we're going to go to break. So really switching gears to really talking about the writing and publishing piece. Now, listen, this is not a pick your brain for free. I'm just going to say that right up front. If you want to work with Valerie, if you want to work with me, it is going to cost you. But it is going to be definitely worth your while. But really two things. If somebody said, I really want to write a book, really mindset wise, two things that you would tell a new writer just before they start writing, before they do the first writing session. They've been journaling a little bit, but really two things mindset wise, not the 11 herbs and spices. I'm not trying to give away anything, because she has coaching classes and all that for you to be involved in. So penawriter.com, reach out to her. But two mindset things that you think every author really needs to do.
Well, the first thing I always say to my authors, first and foremost, is why are you writing this book? You have to be clear on your why. Because if you're not clear on your why, when the road gets rough, when you feel frustrated, when you hit writer's block, when you don't think anybody's going to want to read it, you have to be clear on your why. So that's the first mindset change to me, is why. If you're doing it just to make money, it's not going to work. If you're doing it just to get back at family, I talked to a young lady the other day. She just wanted to write a book so she could put her family business out there because she was mad at him. That's not going to work.
No.
You have to be very clear on your why. And then the second thing because most of the people I talk to, Julia, are people who are writing books about how they overcame some life obstacle, domestic violence, divorce, some type of
abuse,
addiction or abuse, right? And how they're overcoming those things, or how they've mastered something. So they've mastered diversity and inclusion training. They've mastered being a woman in the workplace. They've mastered how to find, get, and keep a job. Those type of people who I work with. So they're experts in their field. And what I find for a lot of the people who I work with is that the first thing I have to tell them is we have to move past your fear.
Yes. Because
fear is crippling. Fear will keep you from moving forward. Fear will hold you hostage. Fear will keep you from writing your book and even telling your story. Because I've had people who want to tell the story, but they just kind of real superficial with it.
Oh, yes.
I'm like, you're not helping anybody, but this is fluffy stuff.
No, that's right.
If you want to tell your story, tell your story.
Right.
And then we get into really why they don't want to really pour it out. So I think being able to understand what is your why, and then overcoming that fear factor, if you will, the two mindset shifts.
That is perfect. That is perfect. And just as a bonus, if you're going to be in business working with other people, you've got to be able to feel their infirmities, and you've got to also be able to understand people. If you can't do that, be careful of what type of business that you start, because you've got to really understand that people dynamic, the emotions and everything that go into the writing process, and it's a very emotional process. So if you're not really wanting to deal with people and their emotions, be careful of the business that you start. We're going to stop right here. Oh my gosh, I could ask so many questions. But we're going to stop right here, and then we're going to be back with more with Ms. Valerie Lewis Coleman. I have a story, you have a story, we all have a story to tell, but maybe you're having a little struggle getting that story started, or how to finish that story, or how to write that story. That's my job. I'm Julia Royston at BK Royston Publishing, helping you get your message to the masses, turn your words into wealth, and be a book business boss. Reach out to us by visiting our website at bkroystonpublishing.com. That's B as in boy, K as in king, ROYSTON publishing, all spelled out, .com. Or schedule an appointment with us, Talk with Royston, ROYSTON.com. Hope to speak with you soon so we can hurry up and write that book now.
You are.
in Jesus. Come on, say it one more time. I am. Oh, come on, let the devil hear you say it. I am. Come on, altos, what you got? Every time. When God's winning, I'm winning. God's in me and he's in you. And we win every time. Maybe not the battle, maybe not a skirmish, but the war we win. Come on, tell us what you got. I'm a winner. Every day, every way. Oh, come on, yes I am. Winner in Jesus, I'm a winner. Oh yeah, yes I am. I am. Come on. We're gonna put it all together. Come on, every day. When you wake up in the morning, say it. Look in the mirror and say, I'm a winner. I'm a winner in Jesus. I am a winner. I will win. I shall win. Yes, I will. Yes. Come on, I'm a winner. Yes, I am. No losers over here. Not on the Lord's side. I am. Yes, we will. I am a winner. Yeah. Oh no, it ain't over. Come on. Turn to that other neighbor on the other side and say it. I am a winner. I'm a winner right now. I will be a winner in the future. Yes. I am a winner. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes. When he wins, I win. I always win. I will win. Yes. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Win. So we're back with Miss Valerie Lewis Coleman, and she said she had a bonus number 3. So I want her to give us the bonus number 3 mindset or shift change she would give for adults, for people writing books, and then tell us about her children's book.
Absolutely. So the third one, which you can't really get past, is forgiveness or unforgiveness. A lot of people want to tell their stories, but they're still holding on to this hurt, this betrayal, this feeling of whatever they're holding on to. And that unforgiveness will keep you from being creative. Fear and unforgiveness are the 2 biggest creativity blockers. So you have to go through this forgiveness protocol. And I actually have a protocol that I learned from a mentor. I also have a forgiveness prayer that I go through and state, because I had a whole slew of people who was messing me up, or I was allowing to mess me up when it came to moving forward with my business. And I was like, God, I've got the resources, I've got the skill set, I've got the results, I've got the experience, I got the email list, I got the fan base, but my business isn't doing the things I think it should do.
Right.
And then people started bombarding me. He put people in my life who kept talking about forgiveness. And I said, okay, you know what? I'm hearing the message. When I began to implement those strategies and the things I learned about forgiveness, because it doesn't mean I have to go and walk up to you and say, I forgive you for acting a fool and showing out. And you don't have to do all that. No. All you got to do is make a statement and make it out to the atmosphere, put it to God, and then release that person to God, right, and let it go, and you're good. And I've actually seen him move on my behalf because I went through this forgiveness protocol. Now, every now and then I got to put people back on the list because they pop up.
Oh, yeah. Well,
like, I know I put you on that list,
I don't want it, but I tell people I don't want nothing to block my creativity.
Absolutely.
So I can't hold that unforgiveness. You can be mad. You don't have nothing you trying to do and trying to get accomplished right then. So that that is a powerful, powerful, your why, fear, and unforgiveness. Oh, that's powerful. Okay, so let's talk about your children's book. Yay!
So this is my first children's book, Oh, the Things I Can Be When I See Me. I guess you can see that. Okay,
yes, I can see
a little bit of sunshine
right there. I know, it's beautiful, but I love that. So tell us about it.
Well, this book is based off of conversations with my granddaughters who don't live in the same state I do. One's in Georgia, one's in Texas, I'm in Ohio. So I don't get to see them as often as I would like. And I am that grandmother. I am involved. You say it's Grandparents' Day. Let me figure out how to get there. It's your birthday. I'm going, I'm doing what I can to be there with them.
Right.
And as a result of having conversations with my granddaughters, we would always talk about their career goals and their aspirations and being kind and don't bully, all these type of conversations. And over time, the career goals thing just kind of took over.
Mm-hmm.
So when my oldest granddaughter, Samara, said she wanted to be a gymnast, I would mail her a gym mat so that she could do flips and cartwheels. She sent me pictures of her posing, and
sure,
wanted to be a chef. So whenever we're together, we're making cupcakes.
Right.
I encourage them to figure out their passion and then work toward it.
Right.
And so the book came out. Well, it didn't just happen like that, but the book came from our conversation, because I was like, the conversations I'm sharing with my granddaughters are important to other little girls and boys, to have them thinking now about what they want to be. So throughout the book, I mentioned about 22 different professions. Most of them are like common professions, but I mentioned like ballerina, I mentioned judges and teachers, lawyer, firefighters and first responders. And then what I did was when I read to the girls, I combined historical figures and then modern day trailblazers who look like them and have done the things they say they want to do. Oh. So for instance, when my grandbaby said she wanted to be a firefighter, because Lyric she's 5 years old now. When I did the book, she was like 3. But when I first started working toward the book, she was like 3. And so she changes all the time. But now at one point she wanted to be an archaeologist. When she wanted to be a firefighter, I contacted Annette Nance Holt, who is the first woman to be deputy fire commissioner in Chicago. She is literally responsible for the lives of millions of people.
Wow.
And we had a conversation, and I said, well, what things would you like to say to the girls who maybe want to aspire to be a first responder or fire chief like you are? And she said, never give up, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it. Wow. I have a friend who's a gospel artist, Tanya Baker. She now resides in Texas. Mm-hmm. And she is a powerful force to reckon with.
Yes, she is.
So I wanted to put women of integrity in front of the girls who have great examples, because when I came to singing, there were a lot of examples out there, and I was like, well, some of them like to shake their milkshakes, and I didn't want any of that.
Yeah.
No, that's not the representation I want for my baby.
Mm-mm.
Okay, and I was very selective. But one thing that impressed me when I shared it with my sons, and I said, okay, I want to include these different professions. And I mentioned First Lady Michelle Obama, and I mentioned Princess Meghan Markle. And my son, Lamar, who is Lyric's father, my youngest grandbaby's father, he said, well, I don't care for those professions. And I said, excuse me, why not? He said, because they are attached to a man. You can't be first lady unless you're married to the president. And you can't be a princess if you're not born into it unless you're married to the prince. He said, and I don't want Lyric's identity attached to a man. I said, well, all right then.
And that's amazing coming from a man. That's amazing. You did a great job as a mom. You did a great job as a mom. You did great.
I'm so proud of him. I was like, oh my gosh. Because I would have never thought like that.
No, I wouldn't have either.
Michelle Obama. But what I did was talk about her expertise and her experience prior to getting to the White House. She was an attorney for years.
Right.
I positioned that. And then I didn't mention Meghan Markle, but at the end, I had my girls in their princess attire.
Right.
So there was no way I could really work that in other than her being an actress.
Yes.
So I said, okay, well, let me just, absolutely, sir, I can respect that.
I love it.
Yes. So I've published over 130 authors. This is my first children's book. And the biggest challenge for me was initially with finding the illustrator, because my illustrator is overseas. She's actually from Portugal. Poland.
Okay.
But she lives in Scotland. So she speaks English, but that's not her primary language. Portuguese or Polish, I don't know. She's over there somewhere across the pond. Yeah, she speaks Polish. That's her primary language. So we had a little bit of a communication barrier, but not a lot. But she was my second illustrator. My first illustrator disappeared after a little while, and it wasn't his fault of his own. He lived in Indonesia, but he didn't have good internet access.
Wow.
So we couldn't communicate. And I can't work off of this because I need to have my book and I need my stuff when I need it.
Right.
He did a great job. It just I couldn't rely on his availability. So this young lady, Natasha Ramez, she did a great job. She was actually phenomenal. The only challenge I had with her was helping her to understand, because her specialty was elves and fairies. This was her first children's book too. Her specialty was elves and fairies. I had to keep reminding her, round the ears. Yeah. Round the ears.
These are children, not elves.
These is babies.
These is babies. Black, brown babies.
No, brown babies.
And these are brown babies, not elves.
Right. Was to put rings on the adults. They were small rings, but that was important for me,
right,
as a subtle reminder that we're just not dropping seed everywhere and leaving our baby. We are married with children.
Right, yes.
And so I had to keep reminding her to put the rings on the adults on a couple occasions. But I will say, Julia, probably the biggest challenge for me with this book was, you see, I got 2 babies, and they are different colors, very different.
Yes.
Dark chocolate and my milk chocolate.
Yes.
The illustrator first did the book, and I requested samples. I just told them African American children. So all the babies came in this color. My brown skin baby. Mm-hmm. When I sent it to Lyric to look at it, and I said, look, baby, this is you. She said, that's not me.
Uh-huh. I
said, Lyric, that's you. No, Mimi, that's not me, baby. That's you. Because I'm Lelo. I said, oh, okay. Not that I was going to leave the baby this color, but even though it was her, she couldn't identify because it wasn't the right color.
Right.
So I had to tell the illustrator, lighten this baby. She kept lightening, and finally she said, I can't do it any lighter, but she was just still as brown. Yeah. What I realized was she didn't understand the difference in our color hues.
Yes.
So I went to
range. It's a wide range.
Right. And I kept saying lighten, but she didn't understand what I was saying with that. She was just taking this and making it, So I said, she said, find a children's book that has a baby of the color of the child that you're trying to reflect. I said, okay. Do you know, when I Googled African American children's books on Amazon and Google, I couldn't find any books with babies who weren't brown.
I believe it.
I had no clue.
I believe it.
So I had to go to the Latino market to find a baby the color of my grandbaby, send her that picture, and then she was able to match the hue.
And you have to do, that's a whole nother conversation, but that is true because we do range from all. I'm thinking about the whole Red Fox comedy stick where he talks about all the different colors of African American caramel and mocha and vanilla and
black.
Yeah, it's not white and it's not just black. So it's beautiful, and I love the illustrations. I know it might have been an issue, but the illustrations are wonderful inside, and I want little girls to see themselves. That's one of the things about the book fair that I'm really excited about. Is I want our children to see themselves. I want all children to see themselves, but I really want our children to see themselves in very positive light.
Yeah, I just saw a statistic put out by, I think it was Publishers Weekly, that of all the children's books that are out there, only 10% of them actually have characters that are children of color.
Yes, and that's gone up just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
It was 7.
Yeah.
And before that, years before that was 4. So we've come a long way up to 10%, but that's slow. That's a slow process to know that it's only 10% of us. And I think that includes the Latino babies and the Native American.
But the Latinos and the Native Americans were much lower than us.
Much lower, but ours was 10 and it's a scary state of affairs, and the book fairs that are out there and just the bookstores themselves, our children just don't see themselves. So.
Right.
Well, this has been a pleasure, and I'm super excited about all that God is doing in your life, in your world, and penofthewriter.com. Please reach out to Ms. Valerie Lewis Coleman. It's been a pleasure, honor, and thank you so much for being with us today. I look forward to us being together sometime very soon. I may be able to squeeze in that Power Book Expo. I'm looking forward to that, and so I'm always looking for the next thing and being at the next event and all that good stuff. So thank you so much for being with me today, and hopefully we'll get together again very, very soon. I'm Dr. Julia Royston, encouraging you today, tomorrow, and always to live your best life. Live each and every day, love and live your way. Do your very best, learn and lead today. Be the best you can, it's your life, take a stand, so live. Come on and live your best Dr. Julia Royston.